Hi guys, it's Paula and I hope you are doing well. This is going to be my first video back after taking a little more than a week off from filming and posting videos. I don't know how to say this. I had to have 2 brain surgeries in the last week. It was all kind of an emergency. It happened surprisingly. If you've been following me along and you have the community tab up on your feed, this will not be a surprise to you. If you are new to my channel, hi, I'm Paula. This is gonna be a long get ready with me where I go on and on and on about my 2 brain surgeries. But that's what this video is about. I have a lot that I need to talk about in today's video, and I just figured I would do my best to answer any questions that some of you may have as part of this get ready with me. I would also like to talk about some new products that were sent to me. 2 from a friend. My friend Rania sent me the Wet n Wild blushes that I've been lusting after, particularly this one right here, which is Don't Flutter Yourself. I talked about this in a makeup cravings video. She sent this to me along with Hummingbird Hype. So thank you so much, Rania, for sending me this. I really appreciate it. It was so sweet of you, and I've been enjoying it since then. I also had some makeup sent to me from an Instagram friend. Her name is Joy with S Makeup. And she reached out to me and said, there's a brand here in the country that I live in, and it's called Makeup Mecca, and I would love to send some your way. Can I send it to you? And I said, absolutely. So she sent me 5 pieces. So thank you so much to Marthe for sending me these pieces. There is a brow pomade in the shade medium, a Glow Girl Face and Body Liquid Highlighter in Golden Sand, a concealer in the shade Light, I believe, no, Fair Neutral. There is a highlighting palette right here. I'm going to show it to you guys in 1 second. It's called the Northern Lights Holographic Palette. And here's a single eyeshadow in the shade Victory. So I'm going to do swatches of the 4 shadows along with the eyeshadow, the 4 highlighters. One of the highlighters did arrive slightly cracked right there. So I'm gonna have to do some surgery on it, but I wanted to do a quick get ready with me using these products first before I messed with it too much. There are the highlighters, they're beautiful. Here is Victory. It's just a gorgeous gold, nothing wrong with it. Okay guys, I'm not gonna be talking too much about the makeup per se, but I wanted to show you what I'm going to be using, and we're just going to get into story time because I've got a story for you guys. I'm going to use my Tarte CC primer. It's almost gone. If there's anything you've noticed that's different about me, it's probably my comb over. I have a new comb over here covering up a fairly interesting looking scar, and I will show it to you guys in a bit if you want to see it, but I will give you fair warning before I show you my scar. So about 6 or 7 weeks ago now, I started having dizziness every single day. I noticed it more when I was at work, but I also think a lot of it had to do with the fact that when I'm at work, I work in a school where there are these very wide hallways, and all of a sudden I would have to grab for the wall. And at home, if I'm walking in a hallway, there's a wall on either side, so I could kind of catch myself. But I would have these dizzy spells, and I would have to let it pass and just kind of hang on until it was over. Going in with a bronzer now, my liquid illuminator from Ulta. So I felt like for a while every day was a new series of problems. So first it was the dizziness every day, and then it turned into dizziness along with nausea. And then it turned into dizziness along with headaches. And then it turned into headaches with blurred vision. And then it turned into headaches with double vision. So I was still going to work every single day. But about a month ago, on a day where I had particularly bad nausea and I felt like I was gonna throw up, I did call my doctor and schedule an appointment to go see my doctor. And when I found out that I couldn't get in for a couple of weeks, I drove straight to urgent care to see an emergency doctor. I thought maybe I had diabetes. I thought maybe I had high blood pressure. I thought maybe this problem is as simple as getting a pill and moving past it. And the fact that I'm avoiding it is silly. So I drove to urgent care in the middle of my workday. I just left everything at work and I drove to urgent care and I said, I would like my blood pressure checked. I think there's something wrong with me. They checked my blood pressure. They did a urinalysis. They checked my EKG. They did a full blood draw and they checked all that. They couldn't find anything wrong with me. They gave me a $1,200 bill and sent me on my way and said, we could do a CT scan, but there's risks involved. You'd be exposed to radiation. So before you do that, you may want to talk to your doctor about that and see what he says. I said, okay, that's fine. You know, I got to go pick up my kids from the sitters anyways. So let me just leave here now. And I went home, I picked up my kids, I went back to work, I got all my stuff and I left. I'm gonna go in with the green and the pink color correctors. So at first I was honestly just relieved, like, oh, thank God, I don't have diabetes. I don't have high blood pressure. It was just such a relief to not have anything wrong with any of the tests that they gave me that I didn't really think beyond that. Until finally a few days later, I started thinking again and I thought, but there's still something wrong with me. And if it's not any of these basic things, it's gotta be something big. So I started thinking there was probably something wrong with my brain. I was on the right track as to what could be wrong with me. I thought maybe I had a brain tumor. I didn't know if it was cancerous or not. But I started thinking there's got to be something wrong with my brain. Everything kind of leads back to my brain. And at the time, driving was getting really hard. I basically had to drive with one eye shut because it's the only way I could see the cars coming and get them in the right lane. So I was just trying to make it till the end of the year. I had a doctor's appointment that I had already scheduled for the 18th, which was Tuesday. And I was just, my last day of work was the 24th. And everything was kind of coming to an end. So I was basically just holding on for dear life, trying to get through the rest of the year. And I kind of feel like I was doing an okay job. I was staying on top of my paperwork. I was getting the kids dressed in the morning. I was getting them to and from where they needed to be. The main obvious thing you could tell when you saw me from my day-to-day changes was that I was crashing when I got home. I would come home from work at about 5 o'clock and I was done. I was falling asleep on the couch. I was taking naps on my lunch break at work. I was snoozing whenever I could. I was exhausted and I just kept thinking something is still not right. But that was the big thing. And I didn't know if it was like, is dealing with headaches all day long making me tired? Is dealing with blurred and double vision all day long making me tired? Is dealing with dizziness all day long making me tired? or is the tiredness alone a separate problem that I'm dealing with? I'm going into my LA Girl Pro Conceal in the shade Creamy Beige. So I didn't know what was causing what, but I would come home from work and I would crash. And my husband was having to pick up the slack. My mother-in-law, who lives with us, was having to pick up the slack. A lot of people were having to help me out when I got done with work because I would just crash on the couch and fall asleep till usually 8:30 or 9, when I would get up and brush my teeth and wash my face and go to bed with the kids. So, that was pretty rough. Even still, I hadn't talked to a lot of people about what I was feeling, what I was going through. People would say to me, like, I would talk to coworkers, but most of my coworkers I only see on a weekly basis. And they would say, have you told your husband about this? And I would say, I don't know, like, I get home from work and I just fall asleep. Like, he sees me sleeping. I think he knows something's up, but we haven't really talked about what it could be. There's probably many more things to conceal, but I went to a kid's birthday party a few weeks ago, and the kid's mom is a social worker, and she's a friend of mine. She's somebody I could always talk to, and her and I hadn't talked much in a while. Not just because of me, but because she was busy too. And I said, you know, something's wrong with me and I don't know what it is. And she said, what do you mean? And I was explaining to her what I was dealing with. And I even made a joke, like, if I need to have my hair shaved off and my head cut open, then I need to know what it is. Like, I just want to know what this is, because the not knowing is wearing me down as much as knowing is exhausting me. So, you know, I had told a few people here and there, but nobody saw this coming. So I had my doctor's appointment scheduled for my lunch break on Tuesday the 18th at 11:20. I went to work that morning and I did paperwork for a couple of hours, but basically I was falling asleep at my desk. I was falling asleep sitting up and I couldn't stay awake. So I waited for like a natural break in what I was doing, and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna leave right now, guys. I'm gonna head to the doctor. Hopefully I will get some answers. I will keep you all posted and I'll let you know. And they all said goodbye to me, and I drove to the doctor's office. I ended up getting there about a half an hour early. I laid back in the car to watch a video and I passed out, and I did not wake up until noon. My appointment was at 11:20. I got there at 10:45. So I ended up sleeping for an hour and 15 minutes in my closed off car with no air, no heat. It was 80 degrees and sunny, and I woke up sweating my balls off in my car, and I'd missed my appointment. Oh, that's a little bit late for me. So I went into the doctor's office anyways to just say, I was here. I was physically here on your property. Is there any way you could still get me in? And they looked at their schedule and they're like, no, sorry, we're booked. We can get you in next week. And I didn't realize how much weight I was putting on that appointment, how badly I was kind of hoping for that appointment to give me some answers that I didn't have the answers to. and I barely made it out of there without bursting into tears. I went back to my car and I lost it. I cried for like 10 minutes and I just thought, well, it is what it is. You fell asleep. You have to wait a week. So before I left, they said, do you want to talk to the doctor about what symptoms you're having? And he'll give you a call today when he's done with work. And I said, yes, please have him give me a call. That would be great. So I left them with my phone number and I got out of there. And that night I got a call from the doctor's nurse and she said, hey, is there any way you could come in tomorrow morning? And I had already checked my work schedule. It was busy, but it wasn't horrible. And I said, yes, I can come in tomorrow morning. They said, what time? And I said, I'll be there at 9. So I got there at 9 o'clock in the morning, Wednesday morning. And the doctor took me right away and the nurse did a long health history. I hadn't been to the doctor in like 4 years. I'm one of those people that unless there's something wrong, I'm probably not going to a doctor. There was a time when my job kind of forced us to go and do like yearly health checkups. And so for those years I was going, and the truth is I always had a clean bill of health. There was nothing wrong with me. So as soon as they stopped making that mandatory, I stopped going. So I went back to my doctor who's nearing retirement now, and I did like a 45-minute health history with the nurse, and then my doctor came in and he started checking me out, and I made some comment alluding to the blurred vision that I was having, and I said something like, you know, a lot of people are telling me that I should schedule an appointment with my eye doctor, but I don't think the problem's with my eyes, I think the problem's with my brain. And he said, I think so too. And he left the room, he checked out a couple of things, he came back and he's like, you're not gonna like what I have to say. And I'm like, what? He's like, I need you to get an MRI. And he said, the best way for you to get an MRI is for me to call 911 and have the ambulance come, take you out of here and bring you to the local emergency room where you can get an MRI. And I was like, I really don't like that. I haven't had anything to eat yet. I was planning on going to Subway, grabbing some lunch, and then going into work and taking a half day. So he basically convinced me that, you know, I needed to figure out what was going on with me, and I agreed, and so I went. So 911 was called. I was taken out of the doctor's office by a gurney to a local hospital where they ended up only doing a CT scan, but they found a cyst growing up right in the middle of my brain. And basically this cyst wasn't cancerous, it wasn't doing anything bad in and of itself, but the location of the cyst was blocking the flow and absorption of the cerebral spinal fluid in my brain. And it was causing a world of trouble. And basically that's what was causing all the problems. Now, I could tell you that in the 2 months prior to me going to the hospital, I had Googled my list of symptoms many times in many different combinations, and not once did my list of symptoms give me what was actually wrong with me. It gave me different things like vertigo and vertigo related problems and double vision related problems, but never once did the word hydrocephalus pop up from a Google search of my symptoms. However, once I Googled hydrocephalus, everything that I had been dealing with popped up under hydrocephalus. So that was kind of interesting. And I realized that the doctors knew what they were talking about. They then told me I needed to go to Rush Hospital, which, if you've never heard of Rush, it's a very good hospital in downtown Chicago. I'd never been, but they wanted me to go to Rush where I could get the advanced medical testing and surgery that I needed. They already knew right then and there that I needed surgery, Nobody was saying much. They just said, we need you to go to Rush where you could get an MRI. Maybe they could see the panic in my eyes, but mom was kind of the word at that point. So from there, I took another ambulance ride to downtown Chicago to Rush, where I was admitted and checked in by nurses. I got an actual MRI done. The doctors came in. Rush is a teaching hospital, so every doctor and every nurse has another doctor and another nurse with them. It's just pairs of people that are all students learning from teachers who are practicing at the hospital. It's really a great setup, and one of the benefits of a place like Rush is they tend to stay up on the most advanced technology out there because they're a teaching college. So they don't sit on old information. They're always looking for the newest information, and so you tend to get very good treatment. So I got there on Wednesday evening. The doctor said they wanted to do surgery on Friday morning. So on Friday morning, I went into surgery. They went in with a scope and managed to take out the cyst. It was very precise, and as a result, it didn't hurt hardly at all. I woke up with some good pain medication, which helped, but comparatively, that wasn't bad at all. The thing was that when I woke up, I had a drainage tube sticking out of my head, which they were using to monitor how much cerebrospinal fluid my body was reabsorbing back in and how much it was not reabsorbing. And throughout the next 5 days, they did multiple tests to see if my body would start doing what it needed to do to reabsorb the cerebrospinal fluid, and it never did. It just, basically the doctor said the average human body makes about 300 cc's of cerebrospinal fluid a day, and basically this drain is collecting about 300 cc's of cerebrospinal fluid a day. We could wait and wait and wait and see if the body kicks in, but it wouldn't be practical to have you living here forever. In the meantime, we think you should do what's called a VP shunt. So I agreed to it, and the following Wednesday night, I went back into surgery to have a VP shunt installed. So 2 surgeries, 2 kind of big deals. This right here is an image of a ventriculoperitoneal shunt placement. So it's kind of hard to see, but basically what you see is a little hose that goes right here into the center of the brain and then goes down the side of the neck and into the stomach, where the fluid from your brain can drain so that you do not get hydrocephalus. So basically that's the operation that they had to do for me on Wednesday. So it was much more invasive. I woke up Wednesday night and felt like I'd been slammed into a wall. It was so much more aggressive than the first surgery. After the first surgery, I took Norco 5 for 1 day and went down to just regular Tylenol. After that, after the second surgery, I was on Norco 10 for a day and then went down to Norco 5. Plus, I was getting a fentanyl drip. So it was much more painful. It also hurt. My head hurt, my neck hurt, my stomach hurt. It hurt all over where this tube was. So I'm not going to go into details, but basically this is what they did. So you could imagine how this tube gets from here down to here. It's not pretty. So that's what was done last Wednesday night. So I woke up on Thursday morning in a ton of pain. they kept managing my pain, and they started prepping me to go home. They're like, you need to go home. You need to go somewhere where you can move. You need to get better. And I wasn't disagreeing with them about it, but I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old here. So, you know, it's not ever that simple. It's not just going home and rehabbing. It's going home to a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. I went home to a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. They missed me like crazy. My husband missed me like crazy. It has been great to be back. It's one less thing. This is the Dip Brow, or whatever it's called, the Perfect Brow Pomade. It's been great to be back. However, I feel like an old lady, and I feel like I could use some guidance as to how hard to push myself. The only restrictions I've been given are to not lift more than 10 pounds and come back on July 10th. So that's what I'm doing. I'm so not used to using a brow pomade that I feel like I'm all out of shape. I need to give this all my attention. That's not too bad. I have been taking it slow. It has been good. I woke up and I felt a lot of aching in my stomach. So I took the pain medicine as prescribed for the first day. And on the second day, I woke up and I took the pain medicine, and it just knocked me out all day long, all morning long. So I decided I wanted to try and go as long as I could without pain medication during the day. So for the last 2 days, I've been taking a pain pill before I go to bed at night, but once I wake up during the day, nothing. I take an anti-seizure pill, but that's it. So that's what I've been doing. The main complaint I have is a pain in my butt. And I did not have anything happen to my butt after this whole week. And the only thing I could figure out is that whatever surgery was done to my abdomen must have thrown me out of alignment to some extent that my butt hurts. And I'm trying to figure out what stretches to do to make that pain go away and to kind of work it out. I try to keep moving. I try to not sit still for too long. But that has been the biggest issue. My neck was a little bit sore at first. It's not hurting anymore. My head is not hurting at all. I bet you guys would like to see my scar. I'm gonna show it to you now. If you don't wanna see my head scar, look away, all right? Okay. Here it is, right there. So they shaved that piece right here, and that's where they went in and took out the cyst, and that's where I had the tube sticking out of my head. And when they decided I needed to have the tube put back into my head permanently, they just kind of shoved it underneath, like right here. You can kind of feel the tube. And then I really can't see it, but back here, they shaved my head in another spot over here and did something. So yeah, This is my new comb over. It's pretty deceiving, isn't it? I was supposed to get my hair done this past Sunday, so I had to call my hairdresser and be like, I don't want to alarm you, but I don't think I'm going to be able to come in. I've had 2 brain surgeries in the last week. And she's like, what? What? No. So I had to tell her all about it. All right, I'm going to be using 2 Project Pan items as an eye base. This is Tarte Shimmering Sands, and this is Urban Decay Stag. Good Lord. All right, I'm just gonna line my lashes with Urban Decay Stag. I will say that there are 2 comments that I got the most of during my stay at the hospital. One of them was, who is that adorable baby on my phone? It's Ron. And the other is, do you have lash extensions? And the answer, of course, is no. I've been raving about the Rodan & Fields lash serum for a while now. And I was able to tell all the nurses that that's what I'm using. And they were shocked. They couldn't believe it. Of course, when you're rushed to the hospital, you don't have a bag packed with your lash serum, let alone a spare pair of underwear or a toothbrush. So I went to the hospital with nothing. People brought me a phone charger that night. People brought me some underwear. People brought me a tweezers because I have to keep plucking every single day. I cannot go a single day without plucking, or else it's devastating. Through the good natured help of friends and family, I got what I needed, but it wasn't easy. There's never a good time to have brain surgery. I'm just gonna take this gold shadow and put it over my entire eyelid into my crease. This gold is gorgeous. I'm gonna take the same brush and just run this under my lower lash line. Or in my eyeball. Either way. I'm gonna take a little bit of Shimma Shimma and place that right on my brow bone. That's not a mirror. So, needless to say, over the last, what is it now? 12 days. I think it's been 12 days. I missed 4 days of work, so that's a bummer, but it is what it is. I wasn't able to close out my school year and do what I normally would do. It's mostly just paperwork, but it would have been nice to finish out those last 4 days. But on the project panning side, I haven't been able to do anything over the last 12 days. So I'm going to be filming an empties update along with several other updates, including my how many years experiment, and we'll see how far behind and if I can catch up at all. So I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna be able to catch up at all or not. It would be great if we could and get back on track with that experiment, but if we can't, we can't. I also have some collabs coming up. My collab with Elizabeth was supposed to happen on the day that I was hospitalized. She graciously said, you know, the only concern is your health right now, get better, you know, the collab can wait, which is why she's such a perfect person to be doing collabs with. I really appreciate her for that. So, yeah. A lot of things are having to be reorganized, and for somebody like me who likes to know what's going on and what the future looks like, it's been hard, but I just feel really lucky. I was talking to somebody on Instagram this morning, and basically I said, yeah, on one hand, I feel incredibly unlucky to have had to go to the hospital with an emergency brain cyst that had to be removed, and then had to go back in for a second surgery not even a week later to have a shunt put in. And yet I walked out of the hospital. I don't have to have any further treatment. My life has not been altered long-term in any way. I could ride out the rest of my life with this shunt in my head and have no complications and just go about the rest of my life living it the way that I was before. And that's an awesome gift. So I guess there's two sides to every coin. Here is the Don't Flutter Yourself blush that I had been craving so badly that Rania gifted me. All right, I have my Northern Lights palette right here from Makeup Mecca, and I'm gonna take a combination of Ultraviolet along with Aurora as my cheek highlight. Maybe I'll take Polar Light, this greeny one down here, and I'll use that as an inner corner highlight. And really blow it out. that was kind of fun. Okay, I feel like I have thoroughly played with the new makeup. I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of the Sheer Anarchy and apply that to my lips. All right, I'm gonna go apply mascara and a little bit of setting spray, and I will be right back to show you the finished look. Okay guys, so this is my finished look. This is my first makeup look in over a week. It feels great to be playing with my makeup again. Overall, I was fairly impressed with the products from Makeup Mecca. So thank you to Joy with S Makeup for sending me over some pieces from Europe. I really appreciate it. I'm going to leave her channel link down below. I'm also going to leave Rania's channel link down below. Thank you so much for sending me over those blushes from the Wet n Wild Flights of Fancy collection. It was really exciting to finally try those out, and I love them. So this is my finished makeup look, and this is the story of how I ended up with 2 surgeries in the last week. I'm going to try not to dwell on this too much. I'm going to try to move forward. However, I may have to bring it up to kind of explain things. You know, progress is going to be a little hit and miss over the next month, and I will have to pull out my I had brain surgery card a few more times over the next month. So bear with me while I do that, guys. That is it for this video. I now have to edit an hour's worth of footage down to ideally under 30 minutes. So I have my homework cut out for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.